Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our online interview series. And today we want to talk about lithium because lithium is really hot. The price went up like 7-8 times in the last 18 months. And we have a very interesting company here, Cypress Development. And Bill Willoughby, this president and CEO, is here with us. Bill, good morning to the US. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you. It's nice to be with you again.
Yeah, nice to see you after such a long time, and hope you survived Corona so far, so good. And I must say I was quite impressed with your company. You are also part of the battery metals report from Swiss Resource Capital, which is great. And maybe you can give us a short introduction, short overview on Cypress Development, please.
Oh, sure. Well, Cypress has been around a while. We've been an explorer for gold and zinc and other commodities over the years. In 2017, 2016, Cypress entered the lithium space, picked up claims in central Nevada in a place called Clayton Valley, initially looking for lithium and brine, but quickly discovered that there was a large resource of lithium in clays. This is similar to other clay deposits in Nevada, but kind of in a special location in that we're right next to an operation which has been in production for a long time in lithium brine space. So our project flanks that operation, which is now operated by Albemarle Corp. So what we are doing in our project, we're trying to extract the lithium from clays. We're doing it being sensitive to the environment and the basin, which is a chloride basin. So what we've developed is a unique approach. We're using the chloride brines in our processing, using chloralkaline leach. And we've also acquired technology to do that last bit of extraction from that leach solution. People call that direct lithium extraction, or DLE. And that's where we use an ion exchange process, which we've acquired the license for, to actually pull the lithium out of the solution and be able to concentrate it in that final stage.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, interesting. We very often hear that, let's say, water is an issue with lithium production. So you have a different process. You're doing that with clays. What is the water situation with you guys?
Well, water situation in our valley is very tight. It's fully allocated basin, which means all the water rights are spoken for. We have acquired a water right, gives us permission to request water from the state of Nevada in the amount of about 1,800 acre-feet per annum. That should give us enough to run our entire project at the scale that we've anticipated for our project. I should mention our project's at an advanced stage. We're at a feasibility, kicked off a feasibility study just recently. We are also doing pilot plant testing. We have full pilot plant facility, which we have a long-term lease on, about 100 miles southeast of our project in Nevada.
And that pilot plant is already, let's say, up and running and financed.
Yes, it is. The company's well financed. We've raised upwards of $40 million in the last year. That's given us enough money to build the pilot plant, assemble it, do a number of projects that we had on the list, and that pilot plant's now in continuous operation, running 24 hours a day. Okay,
and what are the results so far from the pilot plant? Are you satisfied?
Yeah, we're doing quite well on the pilot plant program. We just recently released some interim results. The pilot plant itself is always going through changes and working on both optimizing the process and looking for ways to improve it. So we're hitting our extraction marks, pulling the lithium out of the clay. Our chemionics Line X process is working quite well. Very satisfied with the way the ion exchange is performing. And we're doing well on the environmental side with it. We're showing that we can recycle water in the plant, fully recycle the water, and also produce a tailings, which is a benign tailing, which we can dry stack.
Okay, interesting. So before we come to, let's say, to the larger facility you might plan then, what are the resources and reserves so far?
Well, the resources on property are quite large. It's a clay deposit, which goes upwards of 1 billion tons of clay in the resource, grading about 900 parts per million lithium. We only need, however, a small portion of that to flesh out a full mine life. What we've developed in the pre-feasibility study was a reserve of 213 million tons, grading 1,100 parts per million lithium. And that's enough to give you a 40-year mine life, producing 15,000 tons a day at 5.5 million tons of clay feed a year.
Wow. Okay. And what is the IRR and the payback period?
Well, this is going back over a year from the pre-feasibility study. We had very good economics at even a lithium price of $9,500 a ton for lithium carbonate. And that was producing 27,000 tons a year of lithium product per year. The IRR off that was about 26% after tax. The NPV was $1 billion. People look at that now and say, well, the price of lithium has gone up and up. Well, we'll have to do a market study for that. We are in a feasibility study, and everything, all those metrics are going to change as we look at the process, the Capex, OpEx, as we go forward.
What would be the Capex if you're just talking about it, approximately of what amounts we are talking, and where do you see the all-in costs for the production for 1 ton of LCE?
Well, I can't really say today. A lot has changed in terms of inflation, other commodity prices. We are now mostly dependent on electrical power for the feed to the plant, and those prices have stayed relatively stable. So I think the overall Capex will come in somewhere around $500 million, maybe a bit more. And the operating cost, we're targeting something under $4,000 a ton LCE price.
Well, it would be a phenomenal margin then.
It would be. Yeah, we'll see.
Definitely. Yeah, let's hope it goes that way. That would
There's
be great.
A lot of work that's going on and needs to be done for that. So
okay, super. Let's assume you are going from the pilot plant to the large plant. What else do you need to do before that? Let's say hydrogeologic work, for example. I'm sure you need water permits and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll need to go through a permitting first. To do that, we need a plan of operations. That'll kick off the environmental impact statement process. That will take a period of time. And then, of course, we have the financing and construction that go along with that. As far as getting to that point, we need the feasibility study, and that work's ongoing. Pilot plant results are a big key to the feasibility, just demonstrating that you have a feasible project and finding any flaws in that project as you go through it.
Okay, super. Yeah, what would be, let's say, your next steps, your next milestones, or let's call it your next catalysts?
Oh, well, first off is the pilot plant. Just continuing to work with that, generate results that'll feed into the feasibility. We have yet to produce a lithium product out of the pilot plant. We've had some technical difficulties right at the end on evaporation step, but we haven't produced a very good quality intermediate solution. It's low in impurities, grading about 2,700 parts per million lithium. And we're quite confident that'll then feed in to make a lithium product stage. We want to incorporate that lithium product into the pilot plant itself. We also need to look at other aspects of the process, say the chloralkali plant, acid plant that goes along with this. So,
sorry, please.
So those are some items that are we're still working on. Also on the permitting side, we'll be looking at how we perfect our water right, move that water right close to the project, and do some change orders that are involved with that, do some geohydrology that goes with that, ensuring that we have enough water supply, and then just doing the permitting process, going through that.
Okay, super. Have you been approached already, let's say, by battery makers or car makers? I mean, Tesla is quite big in Nevada. I could imagine 500 million to be financed shouldn't be a big problem, because this world needs lithium, right?
No, they do. And we've had conversations with all sorts of people. One that's of interest is the federal government of the U.S. is looking to assure a domestic source of lithium. And in that, they have several programs. One in particular is a loan program that might help finance a good portion of the facility itself. So we've had conversations with Department of Energy along those lines, had conversations with other mining companies and battery makers, as you say.
Okay, fantastic. That sounds like a good game plan. Moving forward, let's assume everything goes the right way. What would be a reasonable time frame that you could be in full production from here?
Well, we've been working in that 2025, 2026 range. There's a lot of work that has to go on before that. You always pencil in something that looks good on paper, So
yeah. Okay. As we know, Nevada with gold mining is there's a very clear path with the permitting. Do you have the same, let's say, rules and requirements you have to fulfill?
yeah, we have the same parallel path as a gold producer would. We're not using cyanide, however, and if you were to look at our pilot plant, it really is a clean and simple operation. So the chemical use, we have the clay on site, which helps neutralize it. In the process itself, we neutralize the acid using the same byproduct, the sodium hydroxide that comes out of it.
Okay, super. Perfect. Wow. That sounds like a super plan.
Yeah, it's all self-sustaining as well. So we're using the brine in the basin as part of the process. We don't have to go outside, say, to obtain sulfur to run the project. So.
So that looks also like a let's call it environmental solid process then, right?
That's been a key part of our thinking on it, is to make something that's both sustainable and has minimal environmental impact, and checks a lot of those boxes people like to see on the ESG, environment, social governance side.
Yeah. Yeah, super. Great. Bill, thank you very much for the interview. That sounds like a real plan. And I'm pretty sure we hear very soon from you again.
Okay, excellent. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Bill Willoughby, the President and CEO of Cypress Development. Yeah, you heard it. Lithium in Nevada. So the company is solidly financed in the feasibility study now. That looks all good. And yeah, clear path to mining. Hopefully 2025, 2026, they will be in production, because car makers, battery makers, they need lithium, and it would come then from Nevada even. That is a perfect thing. I would say you have a very close look onto Cypress Development. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Austria today.
All right. Take care.